Just on the fusion side quickly, we've got a few situations with the fusions, and you sometimes get that people want this, but they can't afford it. And there's different ways. I'm going to give you a few scenarios quickly, and then I'll hand over to Samir to tell how we can take hands in bringing solutions to customers and how the bank will work with us. We've got one case in the Southern Cape. There's a homeowners association. They're paying 500,000 Rand a year on honeysuckers, and all of their water goes to waste. It's gone, it's offsite. We can give them fusion for about 2 million, and they retain their water. But for the HOA to spend that 2 million, 71 owners now need to pay a special levy. And you know all the loops you need to go through, and this one objects, and that one's a pensioner, he doesn't have the money, and stuff like that. With a financing solution, we can divert what they're paying to the honeysucker to an installment, and they can afford the fusion without it costing them a cent, and they retain the water. We have a similar situation with the body corporate on the West Coast. Exactly the same situation. In their case, they can't irrigate the gardens because the body corporate is not financially that strong. So the place is not looking great. Now, if they treat on site, they save the money for the honeysucker and they can irrigate the garden, so they increase the value of the property. Okay. If you look at the city, if you look at the city of Joburg, and let me try and zoom into this a little bit. Henny did this. Henny, am I correct when I'm saying you got the figures off the actual utility bill?
Yes.
So this is for customer, this is in the current financial year, so the 1st of July there will be more increases. Can you see that value in red or not yet? Or a little bit bigger. So for this, in this case, City of Joburg charged the customer for water 65 Rand. There was a 14% increase 1st of July last year, and 46 Rand for sewage plus a 14% increase, give you to 127 Rand per kiloliter for water and sewage. The fusion runs at about 15 Rand a kiloliter, 13.44 up there. So we're getting to this column here, where in the 3rd year they already become cash flow positive. 2.5 years payback, 3rd year they become cash flow positive. But now the guys may not have that initial money to put in to make this work. Now remember what they get on top of this. See the initial cost, 3.8 million. They may not have the 3.8 million, but not only is this a saving from a money point of view for them. It's ensuring continuation of operation because we can give them water to flush their toilets, which they don't have if the council water is off. Remember what we spoke about earlier. So we're talking continuation of operation, we're talking money saving. I spoke to somebody that I met at your event, who sponsored me, looking at Pretoria, and he did a quick thumbs up. We're going to follow up and nail the figures down a little bit better. But we were looking at 12,000 litres a day, pumping water from the valve, purifying it, getting it through the distribution network to somebody in Pretoria. We looked at the carbon footprint, thumbs up, desktop calculation we did quickly. We looked at that versus on-site treatment with fusion and recycling. And he said that on the quick desktop he did, the carbon credits that he can get with the fusion compared to getting the water from the grid all the way from the valve is equivalent to 100,000 Rand per year that you can sell those credits for. Now, to give you an idea, that installation would cost about 700,000. So just on the carbon credits, you can pay off that installation in 7 years. That's besides the saving in water. If you start working on carbon credits on this one, you're doing 30 kiloliters a day. So that's about 2.5 times as much, but it's Joburg, it's not Victoria. So about 200,000 rand a year that you can add there in carbon credits to the sum. How quickly do you pay it all then? You see where we're playing with this. And with that, I'm going to say, Samir, thank you very much for coming down. That was a surprise to me. I didn't expect that you would fly down all the way from Gauteng to come and visit us. But thank you for coming. Thank you for the rest of the team that's here. We did a round of introductions this morning. We're going to do it again now. But for your reference, we have installers here that install the systems. So we might want to talk about the bridging finance possibilities or the water as a service where the corporate doesn't want to have it on the asset base. Then we've got consultants here. We've got Nora and... Sorry.
This guy.
Sorry. That is getting second life. We've got Philadelphia. She's working with Ashton, whom you know. And Nora. Now, both Ashton and Nora got to know the fusion from a research point of view and then fell in love with it.
Yeah.
So we've got consultants, we've got installers, we've got sales and marketing guys here, a little bit of everything. With that, I'm going to give the floor to you. And thank you, welcome, thank you. And I'd like to see how we can take hands. This, by the way, is the first official, this conversation has been going on in the background for some time, but this is the first time that we will now officially make this product available. Even I don't know what he's going to say, but it's the first time we make it available.
It's dangerous, eh?
All right, good morning everybody. Thank you for the nice, warm and wet welcome to Cape Town. It's not the first time I've been here where they tell me it's seasonality rain or something. I came in Feb, both the times it was raining. I'm coming down.
Good luck, John. Will you please come to Van Rysel? We need to rain.
You see, the thing is, I try to manifest what I want, right? And one of the things we need is water. And so wherever I go, there's water appears. Okay, so by way of introduction, Samir Bhagwandi, I head up business and commercial banking, energy and infrastructure for Standard Bank. So that's your commercial industrial space, right? Not the utility scale. We have great relationships with our CIB partners. So if anybody's going industrial scale, utility scale, we're there to help. If you want to go cross-border into Africa regions, we've got great relations with our colleagues up there. We can have those introductions and get those things going. Energy and infrastructure. It's the heartbeat of what keeps this economy going, right? In energy, I've got, everybody knows, solar PVs, battery energy storage systems. We've got hydros, small hydros. Wind is sitting at CIB. Infrastructure, construction, logistics, technology, waste and water, right? For me, energy, waste and water is very close to my heart because this is all about the circular economy. This is what's going to save the climate. This is what's going to take us forward. So when I get up, my purpose is how can I drive solutions to the space? How can I enable, like-minded people to be able to sell and be able to offer these products, and how do we support it from Standard Bank's perspective? So I'm going to go into our value proposition.
So can I interrupt you quick, short? We're talking about energy, for instance. Now, Chris has been involved, he's newly involved in that now, but Peter has done a number of installations where the fusion system goes into renewable energy farms. Because the construction guys need some form of ablution, and then the maintenance guys that are going behind, those sites are always out of town. Yeah. So that is where this can even tie in with the energy side. He's done, how many have you done? Renewable sites, yeah. So he's done 4, we've done another, so there's at least 7 sites, the renewable energy sites where the fusions are running currently.
Excellent.
So just to...
Yeah, sure, there's synergies and there's
Yeah,
opportunities
right,
in there. No, perfect. I will pick up that conversation. So I'm going to stop walking across the screen. All right, so if we look here, we'll see that it costs 256 billion on average per annum, right, between 20 and 23 to achieve solar water sector objectives. This is about a 7 trillion rand investment needed in infrastructure through to 2050, right? That's we're talking about how does government get water to all its people. 7 trillion by 2050, that's a massive number. Tariff increases in water for the last 25 years outstripped the increases compared to electricity. Water tariffs went up 1,270% and electricity went 1,125%. Listening to some of the municipalities speak, water is not a true reflection of the costs that they incur to get water to our taps. So when they start doing real costs on those things and recoveries, water, as much as this has gone up 1,270, it's going to go up a lot more, right? And why we're saying this is because the end user is going to have to pay for it. Can businesses afford to keep their doors open at that stage? I'm going to jump ahead. I'm sure most of you know about water treatment kits. There's a high risk of, because we aren't able to keep the infrastructure going, water is going to be continuously lost, right? Sorry, on this one, water is the third biggest, water supply risk is the third biggest risk to South African businesses. And in Africa, it's the second biggest risk. So if we don't address it, if we don't put some type of a solution, you know, everybody's focusing on today and running their businesses. It's like when load shedding happened, nobody was prepared for it. And then suddenly it was all about being reactive, being in survival mode, trying to get something out there. Here we're saying, let's plan ahead. Are there solutions? With Gerard's solution, we think that there are, right? This is a bit of a small graph, but this talks about electricity, and there's water. As much as it's running second, this is only from 2008. But it does show that water has the second largest escalating cost from everything else. Only electricity is beat, that's because we know what happened in this space. The focus sectors that we're looking at, it's agriculture, irrigation. I think what you mentioned, what's the opportunity out there? So it's agriculture, irrigation, food and beverage, municipal and domestic, industrial, logistics, healthcare and farmers, power generation, mining and manufacturing, digital infrastructure, agro-processing, real estate. The ecosystem is vast. I mean, there's huge opportunities. You know, we sit behind the desk, we sit behind our computers, we don't realize what the opportunities are out there. So when we articulate it, we say, yo, there is lots of opportunities. How we go about solving for it? So we've got decentralized plant, we've got water as a service, and digital. We're going to digital smart water. This is about municipalities not understanding the effluent and being able to manage and read and account for it. Hence, they're under recovery in the water space. Once these systems go live, you'll find that the revenue collection will start to creep up. Municipalities see that there's a revenue stream, and once one municipality locks onto it, you can believe me, all the others are going to do the same. So where we focus today, we're going to be focused on decentralized treatment plants and water as a service. The linear model, you guys know this all too well. I think that's why we're sitting in this room. It's not going to work for us. Get the water from the reservoir, you treat it, you use it once, and then you discharge it, and it's gone, right? We need to move to the circular economy, right? And that's where the decentralized treatment plants and water as a service will come in. I don't want to go too much into the business case. I think Gerard's covered this nicely, but on-site water treatment, I mean, you just gave the example now. We didn't factor in carbon credits, right? This is all about the benefit of having an on-site treatment plant versus you getting water in from the municipal system. I'm going to use the example that Gerard threw up earlier. I think it might be because we're using the 28,000 liters here, so the 28 kiloliters. Pretty much the same numbers that you've got in here. I've got a slightly higher cost here versus your 13 Rand some change. So even with this, we still get to a 2.5 year payback period if you're just running a straight project return. But what I've done is I've overlaid. So, is everybody familiar with this model? Yeah? Okay, I'll go through it quickly, right?
I think after crowd see this for the first time.
Oh, okay. So maybe, Gerard, I hope I don't butcher it. I'm going to take a stab at it, right?
I didn't do it, so you can't butcher it.
This is your model, yeah?
It's English.
Oh, is it your?
No problem. Yeah, this is just updated from the one you showed. It's
Okay.
from 30 kiloliters to 28 kiloliters, because this brings it down to 4 instead of 5 fusions.
Yeah, but you see, you getting the new stuff and I don't.
You're going to have contest here.
I've got problems with the back.
Okay, so this was the tariff COJ, 65 Rand, 14% increase to 74 Rand. That's your sanitation, 48 Rand, 14% 52, and that's your 127 Rand per kiloliter charge to industrial users, right? In this case, it was 28 kiloliters. Is that a monthly or an annual? I think that's the annual, right?
Yeah.
That's an annual amount. And the average yearly tariff increase on the fusion system from 14 Rand 40 will increase by 9%. Is that
I got 9%, or even for the municipal increases, but we know that's actually higher.
It's actually
So that cost will be even exaggerated, or even more.
different spectrum.
okay? So then, this is the municipal water, that's the sewer, and that's the combined. So the savings on this is 1.3 million, right, per annum. The fusion annual running cost is 147,000. That's based on the 102,000 kiloliters times the amount for the fusion system. The net saving is 1.1 million, right? The system costs 2.9 million, right? Which says that your net savings of 1.1 million, if you're paying all that against the fusion system, your remaining balance is 1.7, then it's 497, and then you're into a positive. You've got your cash back. So, as Gerard said, 2.5 years payback period.
So, Milo, what we just need to clarify on that one is that is the treatment system. If it is an existing building, there may still be an additional cost to run secondary piping going to the toilets and stuff. Sure. Which is not included. It's for us not possible to include it because we don't know what's happening on site. But that's a treatment and pumping. So if there's any pipe work to be done within the building, that will be additional to that.
100%, but I think you're going to cover that when you guys talk about the fusion, because that's the mechanics behind it, right?
Yeah.
This is all about what does the system cost, what's your payback period, and if we then, because like I said, who got 2.9 million lying around to just fund this, right? And that's where the stumbling block is. And then you say, well, where do we go? Well, you come to 710, right? So what does that mean? I made assumptions. I said 100% loan to value on the 2.9. I said the tariffs as per Muscom example, prime plus minus 2%, thereabouts, and a 5-year funding period. You see, you got a 2.5-year payback period. I'm saying 5 years. What that does is, I don't take all your cash that you're making available, right? The loan repayment on that works out to about 780,000 Rand a year, which leaves you from 1.1 to 780. You got about 300,000 Rand surplus cash, right? You can either accelerate the pay down of the debt, or businesses can, and depends on where it's going, right? Depends who's offering it. Is it on the end user's balance sheet, right? So it's a once-off cost that they will then fund, or is it water as a service? And that's what you'll need to consider. This is the debt service cover ratio. This is telling me how many times that cash available is able to cover my debt. And at a 1.48 growing to 1.61 in year 2, that's plenty strong, right? I can motivate to get those deals across the line easily, right? There are obviously T's and C's and subject to's, but you bring me a deal like this, I'm going to be happy to support you on that journey to see across the line. So that's the first stage.
So the nice thing for the customer, sorry if you interject in, the nice thing for the customers, they don't need to go and find additional funding. They can change the sustainability and save money from day one.
100%, yeah. In terms of our value proposition, right? We've got the two, outright purchase, which is the CapEx funding, and then contract-backed funding solutions, right? Outright purchase is, this is for businesses, body corporates, etc., looking to purchase a system on their balance sheet for their own use. So you're going to sell them the system, you're going to install it, and they're going to pay you outright for it, right? And so they'll say, well, we need funding. So how do we go about doing that? So we will do the product construction, we'll use either our asset finance or the term lending, technical terms, but we just put it here. Up to 5-year funding, typically at 100% loan to value, right? Available to clients at Morgan Stanley. A detailed assessment of the borrower is required. So whoever you bring, I mean, if this guy's balance sheet is insolvent and all those good things, we're going to struggle, right? And you're going to struggle. So I've got a few items we'll cover just now. In terms of the funding conditions, standard asset funding term, loan conditions apply. I'm sure everybody's taken out loans. You know there's lots of terms and conditions you need to comply with. It's standard, there's nothing, we're not going to surprise you with anything new. Where the property is rented, a long-term rental is required for the debt. So you're putting it on somebody's balance sheet, right? And that person now says, well, I'm renting the property, there's only 2 years left on the rent. How do I do 5 years funding on that? So the term of the rent needs to be at least the loan term or greater, right? The term of the debt is limited to the remaining term of the borrower's lease. Again, if it's 2 years, then we have to fund it over 2 years. He can then go and say, I want to renew now, can we move it to 5 years? I'm sure landlords will be excited then. Tenant wants to increase now as opposed to wait for, month expiry -1 type of a thing. At least they got certainty of that. Comprehensive short-term insurance policy is required, and matching product warranties from Muscat to the term of debt. So if the system doesn't have warranties behind it, or the warranties are at a lower level or lower term than what the funding is, we reduce it to what those warranties are. So like in the solar world, we've got batteries and inverters, they've got 10-year warranties, and we've got solar panels 25. We go at a 10-year funding on those kind of things. So if there's an existing system out there and there's only 6 years left, if the off-taker doesn't want to increase the warranties to 10 years, we'll do 6-year funding on it. Right. Contract-backed funding, Fusion, water as a service. Now where this comes in, this is for businesses looking to purchase a system on their balance sheet and supply the service to a third party. So the end user doesn't have it on their balance sheet. They'll have it on their property, but it's not in their financial statements. They will rent, they will pay for water as a service. So somebody now becomes a mini municipality saying, we will provide you with the water as a service, right? And so this is the solution for them. So again, commercial asset finance or business term loan, appropriate funding structure. So here we're going to go at 70% loan. We don't do 100% here. We say you're going to put 30% deposit, 30% equity in this structure. Again, 5 years tenor. Detailed assessment is required of the borrower, so whoever's putting on their balance sheet, and the off-taker. Because we need to know, because the borrower needs to get money from the person who's they contracted with. As a bank, we need to be comfortable that that party is able to repay our client so that we can get repaid. So we put a second pair of eyes on it to make sure that everything stacks up.
So, Sonia, I just want to clarify that I understand the trick. I think for some people around here as well. In that case, it'll be pretty much almost like an Avis rental. Somebody's got a rental fleet, they don't buy their own vehicles, they rent it from an Avis. In this case, you will be the Avis for the water sector. So Peter, you will buy it, it's your property, and you have a monthly bill that the customer pay you for supplying that service to them of recovering the water and making it available for them, including the services of the system. The 70%, I just want to clarify that 70% of the total bill, which means the 70% includes the installation, or the total amount includes the installation. So from your side, what it may mean is that the 70% will cover you to buy the equipment from us and get it to site. And then the installation you do out of your own pocket. It's not like we've got to find 10%, all of a sudden you put a 10 million rand project and now you need to find 3 million, where you're going to find that. So that 70% in most cases will be enough for you to pay for the equipment. You do the installation out of your own pocket, which will make up the 30%, but then you start recovering your monthly fees You pay some to Standard Bank and the others we used to buy some J Master.
Question. Your CAPEX funding, is it only applicable to commercial clients, or do you consider the residents and individual clients as well?
So you're talking, yeah, so anybody who wants to put it on their balance sheet, that's where the capital funding will come in. If you're going down to, so this will be mostly for juristics because I'm business and commercial banking.
Yeah.
If it's going to an individual, then he'll have to go and get his own funding because he'll obviously come to the bank and say, I need to borrow money because at a customer, I think at an individual level, he's only banking in business and commercial.
I see.
Right?
Mhm.
So, yeah, he'd have to go and get his own loan. And I don't think we set up for asset finance facility on that, on the personal level. And so again, it's about the size of it, right? An individual who's going to, if it's an individual property owner, I don't think, will this be sufficient? How big a system would he? He'll probably use his overdraft or get a personal loan or a revolving credit type system to utilize the funds of
I
that.
spoke to some of the guys in the university, they will definitely look into this for the homeowner as well. You're looking at the loan amount of anything between 150 and 250,000. So they said they will look at this for the homeowner as well.
Sure. So I think what we need to do is have a discussion with, so I don't know if you guys know Luxi, that's part of Standard Bank, right? And maybe that's where we want to have a conversation before, because that's more for the individuals. Yes, we call it retail banking. Yeah.
Yeah, it would make sense to also have the individual property owners as well. I mean, if you have instruments, such instruments for your solar panels, solar panel installation, surely you can have something like that for property owners.
Yeah. Similar funding conditions as the previous one. So working capital, overdraft, business revolving credit plan, bridging, interim finance, and trade finance. So we know suppliers. One thing you're going to get into is working capital requirements. We've got overdrafts, we've got revolving credit plans to help you all over these things. So it's all about, Standard Bank is obviously it's a commercial bank, we've got all the products. So whatever your funding needs are, we're there to assist. Again, it will be based on an assessment and say what are your needs and how can we best help you. In terms of requirements for the funding assessment, so this is again part of where you're offering water as a service. We're looking for the latest signed financial statements, updated management accounts, up-to-date data and creditor age analysis, personal balance sheets of shareholders and key directors, 12-month cash flow projections, confirmation that the entity has the necessary powers to borrow, and, sorry, that's not repeated there. Right, so why we say updated debtors and credits, I mean, if you look at a body corporate, right, and if they're sitting with 40% of their levies in arrears, we know we've got a collection problem. Don't bring that to us, because it's not something we can support. They've got to first fix themselves, then we can look at it, right? Because while this will be a fantastic solution for them, they'll have to raise the funds internally, because that's not something we're going to move forward with, right? It's all about affordability. While it might look good on paper that they can afford it, from a cash flow perspective, it's not going to stack up, right? It's normal. It's lending 101 kind of thing. So that pretty much covers, I think.
Yes, just to confirm, going to some other conversations we had in the past, that the party that you're looking to fund, does that have to be an existing Standard Bank customer, or is it available to anybody like a vehicle purchase? The guy's currently banking with ABSA, but he wants to finance the vehicle through Standard Bank. And then eventually Standard Bank will tell him, well, listen, we want the ABSA business as well.
That is indeed the case, because obviously we offer fantastic service and solutions. So yes, the customer, the end off-taker doesn't have to be a Standard Bank customer, right? We are open for business.
That's very important to know.
So I'm hoping you guys are banking with Standard Bank. If not, I've got my team here. So So again, it's easier if the clients are banking with us, right? Because we've got history and we know how their account behavior works and those good things. But if they don't bank with us, it doesn't mean we can't look and assess it, because as a bank we've got access. We'll ask the client permission to pull their bureau reports to see how they perform. We go and ask permission to go and ask the other bank, give me a sense of what their account behavior is. They're not going to give us, the nitty-gritty, and we'll also ask for the bank statement, so we can actually look at the account conduct. So, no, he doesn't have to bank with us.
So there's a bit more paperwork, but you can.
There is, but all of the deals that you bring to us, we would assess. It's not like there's anything off limits. The only ones off limits, like I said, insolvents, where affordability straight off the bat is questionable. It's going to be difficult to motivate.
Well, I see this is similar to vehicle finance. And the way I see this playing out, when we talk about the marketing side, which will be later today or tomorrow, what we need to look at is to start selling the repayment and the savings. Where you frighten people, and this comes to our conversation of yesterday with some of the other guys, where you frighten people, say, you've got to find 3 million, you've got to find 5 million or 10 million now. And the guys, oh shit, now they run to somebody who offered our 3 million plant for 2 million, but it's that green tank, lap and plug, kind of smelly stuff. So they're getting a subsidized thing because they don't have the 3 million. But now, instead of pushing that 3 million, how often do we see in the vehicle industry, people say, monthly installment 3,000 rand a month. Monthly installment for this bike is 6,500 rand a month. We can start advertising that rather than the capex in some cases.
But it's not like vehicle finance, because you don't get anything back from vehicle finance.
That's true.
This is one up from vehicle.
Yeah, it is. But what I'm saying is, rather to frighten people with capex, we can say, listen, you're paying so much, we're going to do it for so much per month, so that the monthly figure they can comprehend, the capex figure may be just a little bit too high, or it might frighten them off. But the main thing is, we can flaunt the figure, but it doesn't guarantee them financing. It's the same as a vehicle company advertising your 6,500 rand a month payment, installment on the vehicle. Doesn't mean that 100% of people who apply will get it. If you're not financeable, if you're not financially secure, obviously the bank is going to turn it down. So there will always be an application process. It's not a guarantee that you'll get the money, but we can, the way to go is to say, listen, forget about the 3 million. We tell the guy, you're currently paying 1.2 million a year to City of Joburg. We'll do this for you for 800,000, give you your water back for 800,000, here you're going to save 400,000. Who's not going to buy that? So it's the way we pitch it. This can play in your benefit, but it plays in your customer's benefit, and these guys stand to make a hell of a lot of money, and hopefully they give me some shares for that.
Shares are available on the JNC, Cameron.
How do you repo a system that's installed underground?
You take it out.
In a legal perspective, it's connected to your house sewer. So will you need to reroute the sewer then if it's not being paid?
Well, it depends on what is available on the other end. If there is a municipal connection, it's very simple. If there is no municipal connection, it's like I almost want to say I'm not the legal expert here. But if you repo, if you guys got a trucking business and you repo the truck, his business stops. If he's got this and you've got to repo it, basically his site will close down if he doesn't have another alternative, because he's got nowhere to go with his wastewater. So it's a risk for him.
But also for Moscow.
No, well, I think it has to be written into the contract.
Yeah, but those things, we leave to the guys who know what they're doing. I don't.
Yeah.
I'll build the stuff.
Gerrit, if you allow me, please, also Standard Bank, 1 minute. Nick Arends, I'm the area manager for commercial asset finance for the non-metro. So I've got the team that's based in this area. I've got a team that's based in Paarl, got somebody up in the West Coast, somebody in the Garden Route, somebody in Overberg. So at this stage, I want to, Samir, if you're okay with it, I want to offer the service of commercial asset finance. I'll provide my detail. I can be the centralized contact person, and if there's an opportunity of a customer, please bring that to us. Bring it to my team. We will liaise with Samir, and we will structure that conversation. Some of those requirements that Samir's got on there, from a financial point of view, you don't have to have that engagement with the customer. Give us the opportunity of, here's a potential customer with a finance opportunity, and we will get all the required documentation to make the deal work. You will have a designated contact person. You will, within my area, here you see me, so you know there's a designated person, and we will keep you in the loop of the transaction. So from a commercial asset finance point of view, I just want to offer, in conjunction with Zamir, the service that we can provide locally to everybody where there's an opportunity. So that West Coast Body Corporate and the one in Garden Route, let's get the details. Let's start those conversations, and let's open it up and see if there's opportunities there.
This is the guys working on the West Coast deal, by the way. The guys working on the Garden Route deal is not here. But both of those are with the bank at the moment for assessment. Peter, just a sec. What you're saying is music to my ears. Because I'm the kind of guy, I hate dealing with the call center, because you get out to somebody else every time, you hang half a day on the phone without getting answers. What we're saying is we've got dedicated people to work with.
Correct.
People who can give us answers, so we're not going to be pushed around all from pillar to post, and our customers are not going to be pushed around from pillar to post.
100%.
What I would like you to do is there a notepad in front of you, sir.
Yeah.
Write down names and telephone numbers of who you want this crowd to contact. And we're going to make it very simple, that piece of paper, let's circulate it around the table, and everybody just take your phone and take a photo, so everybody's got all the contact numbers.
But sorry, that's just for down here. Eh?
Down here,
That's down here.
Cutting, yeah.
So what we can do.
What you can do,
In the meantime, is that even if it's Gauteng, you can, until we have a structure there, you can route it to me. I'll route it then to another area manager in that designated Gauteng area.
so you will get your contact. Gauteng is altyd so 'n bietjie agter die.
Yeah, so
I remain your designated person in terms of
So
the
that
first
you're becoming
initial
the
contact.
national, you're becoming the national essentially.
Yeah, so we see- I will need to Gauteng, I will need to Gauteng.
No, so the similar setup that Nick has here, we've got throughout South Africa,
Yeah.
right? So if you'll send the request through to Nick, he can route it through to myself, or you'll send it to myself, directly. We would then engage with the right
So, area manager.
area manager to get that support.
So in Gauteng they got 3 area managers, so it's not always easy to know, geography-wise who's where. So I'll
Okay.
send it to me, and you'll get the right people to connect with me.
And the same offer, just to get clear, because when for us now to get involved in financing, you see guys' balance sheets. So if the same offer holds true, that we can say, if you want to finance this, we've got a deal in place with Standard Bank, contact so-and-so at Standard Bank, and then take it forward.
Perfect. Alternatively, you get their contact details and send it through to us, and
With the offer
we'll
to
get our
purchase.
team. Yeah.
But I think the best, Brendan, is once the customer shows interest in financing, you contact him with the customer in copy and do the introduction. And then they can take it from there with the customer to arrange the financing.
Okay. You just threw something there very quickly that I think might have got lost. So we need an OTP. Because currently, I don't think we have an OTP, eh?
Or something that's,
A signed quote
sense
or
of
something.
a quote of what is the amount of the system to be purchased.
Okay.
Because that will direct, all the other conversations.
Okay, so it doesn't need to be an offer to purchase?
No.
Would it
no
need to
quote.
be a signed quote or just a quote or?
No quote is fine.
Quote, okay.
As an initial conversation. a quote is
Okay,
fine.
all right, good.
Okay, just look at it practically. In some cases, he will do a desktop. The customer is initially interested, so he just does a desktop like he did in this case. At that point, we're not going to bother you with it. If the customer accepts the desktop, then Peter will go out to site, or Arno will go out to site and do a formal quote with everything that he's seen on site. And if the customer accepts that, then we go to the
I
bank.
like that one.
In some cases, we may get an inquiry and we route it directly to Arno or we route it directly to Peter, wherever the case may be. But it is the final quote from the installer that will go to Standard Bank, not our desktop assessment. And the customer say, okay, I want this, I want financing, you've got that on email, and then you forward it to the bank and you do the introduction and you say, what I would appreciate, where's that slide with your T's and G's on? And all the other stuff. I'd love if we can get this and use it either in slide form or pamphlet form or something. Because what you can then do when you speak to the customer, you say, listen, you're a business, sir. This is what we will need from you. This is what the bank will need. So prepare that when we introduce you to the bank, you know you've got that in place. Or Peter, if you want to do water as a service, you know that you need to get the following, but you also need some information from the customer. So you can go to another school in Bloemfontein. I know there's a school that, did you quote on, Rudy, who quoted on that school, there's 6 fusions supposed to be?
Yeah, it was Saints, but the girls one.
But in any way, what you can now do, which you couldn't do in the past, you can now go back to the school. You can say, listen guys, because what's happening at the school, correct me if I'm wrong, they're currently using municipal sewage, they're currently connected to municipality, but they have a water shortage and we're polluting the environment and everything else. So you can go to the school and say, listen, how much are you going to save? Because the school, for those 6 units, you're looking at about 4 or 5 million rand installation. So let's call it 5 million. The school has got to find that 5 million. Now we can do an exercise similar to what Henny did and look at what the savings are. And we can say to the school, okay, it's possible to finance this. Now if the school wants to take out the loan, it's a private school, not public, then this is what they've got to do. If they don't want to take out the loan, and you say, listen, this is a school, it's a well-known establishment, I know they're going to pay me, then you look at what it's going to cost you to do it, and you include, remember by the way, your quote, your final quote must also include the services we spoke about for the period.
5 years,
For the
yeah.
5 years.
So that we know that is covered, you don't end up with somebody not servicing. It's like a vehicle. When you purchase a new vehicle, you normally get your 90,000 kilometer service plan with the vehicle. So that's all got to be part of your package, correct?
That's right.
So that's the one thing that's got to change on the quote, is it's got to include your finance periods, services and maintenance, including your diaphragm replacements, UV lamp replacements. You know you're getting that money. And you, for the contractor side, you know you've got that service business for 5 years or whatever. But in your case, you can go to the school. If they don't want to take out the loan with the bank, you can say, okay, the money that you pay to the municipality, if you're prepared to pay that money to me, then I'll provide you with that service. That's all it is. How do you see that opportunity playing?
I think for me, that's for schools, that can be a big winner.
I know about a school in Bloemfontein, they on septic tanks, so they don't have the bulk money to actually switch over. But now all of a sudden, they're spending the money monthly anyway.
Last year's the customer.
And body corporate, there's no body corporate sitting with 3 million rand around.
Yeah.
He's busy with a deal in KZN South, where he owns a property there. The body corporate is interested and he's got to do the installation. So he's got to give you the final installation quote.
$1 million.
with your services and whatever is needed for the finance period. And then that is going to go to the bank, and then you guys can be operational before December.
Can I just, sorry, can I just check on the savings, is it able for your team to do on the, not the quote, but something that give us an indication of the savings as well?
We can do the spreadsheet that we've seen here.
So you guys will be able to do that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that will help us as well on the initial application.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility to do, like you spoke about earlier, get your P-Series wada for 5,900 Rand a month? Is there a possibility to do a generic breakdown from a finance perspective, going the Fusion 400 will cost you around about
Decencies of work.
2,000 Rand a month. The 800 will cost you, depending on installation, but that gives you a general number to go up to someone and go off the bat. You have
I think it's possible. We just need to make sure that it's not a guarantee. You see with the vehicle, you've got the vehicle built, standing on the floor, and that's what you pay for, and that's what you get. With the Fusion, there may be a lot of variables.
No, but you do the same thing from 299 a month to 2,999 a month, depending on what extras you
Yeah,
want.
static key, T's and C's apply, estimated cost.
We say supply only for that.
Yeah, so one is, obviously we don't want to, I'm going to use the word very lightly, mislead, right? Because it needs to be very reflective of what the customer is getting to, right? It depends on the number of kiloliters that's going to flow out.
Yeah.
I mean, these costs you can estimate, right?
Yeah.
So you know those costs, but it's all on how much. So if you say from X amount per kiloliter, it's probably going to be reflective. So it depends on what they're using. It'll then stack up to that level.
Okay.
So the more they go, so if somebody's using 100,000 versus somebody who's using 28,000, it's going to be very different.
I think, like, you've also got to look at it in a different scenario. With not a lot of properties that we work with don't actually pay for municipal services. It's out of boreholes, or they've got septic tanks, so it's agricultural environments. There's nothing. So you're not going to be able to base that off. You ask a farmer in his house how much water the acre uses. He's going to look at you and go, about a quarter of that thing over there.
Yeah, okay, there's two sides. There's your commercial side where you've got a water meter and you can do that.
100%.
Then if you're going more towards the residential side, you're going to say there's 5 people living on site, it's a 450, that's going to be the price.
Yes.
In a case where somebody's got a septic tank and he's got borehole water, there's not going to be a monthly saving to play it off against, but the guy want to go green and he's affordable, then he can still be financed. So as long as the guy can afford it.
So that's all I'm saying, is like a generic, 450 is going to cost me.
So let's try a little bit with that and see where we come with it. And then I think what we need to do is we put something together that in almost like a proposal kind of thing. We send it to the bank. You evaluate it and say, no, you can't do this, forget about it, or maybe we should adapt it this way, or yes, we can do it, or whatever. And then we come to an agreement on that, and then we can.
But we would never advertise that. Our business is not such that we would go out there, like if you see a vehicle ad and go out there and say from 2,000 Rand a month. But because it's more of a conversation type of a transaction. So I think what would happen is then in the conversation you could say, look guys, if you're really interested in this and you're struggling with a capital, then approach Standard Bank. We've got this deal in place, etc., etc. You're probably looking at around about X amount per month, but you'll have to discuss it with Standard Bank. And then at least the guy can start to see that maybe this is in my wheelhouse, or it's not. I can't afford 3 million, but I can afford 170,000 Rand a month. So, if it's in that kind of ballpark, then let me go and talk to Standard Bank.
Okay. Hello everyone, I've met some of you. So my name is Dina, I'm a CAP, Commercial Asset Finance Specialist. I work under Mr. Orenza. So my suggestion around that is what I've done with some of my suppliers in the area when they have, because that is a reasonable ask. You want to be able to give a client an idea of where his monthly will be at, or his yearly, because some of our farmers take yearly installments. And that's difficult, especially for a client that does farming, to quantify really that maths up. That sometimes that's some of that cash flow implication. So what I've offered and what I've done at times, and I know a lot of my team will go with the supplier to the client, and then we already have that half conversation of where we could potentially look at the installment, understanding that we still need to do the finance application.
That's a winner.
And we've got the team all over, nationally based. We have 14 here in the Western Cape, and that's throughout all of South Africa. So it would still be the connection point where Mr. Orange connect to that RM. So it says, I want to go Friday potentially to this client and discuss an opportunity. He did approach me earlier the week. This is similar to what the size is. This is the client, you have someone there. You also have a specialist that can go with at that time, meet the client and discuss an opportunity right then and there.
That's a winner.
When you talk agriculture, don't forget fact sheets. You use a hell of a lot of water. Water is a cost to them, but at the same time, if you look at the other side, I know only enough to be dangerous on this field, but Ingelinda she does audits for farms. Global Gap, CSR, those kind of audits. It's for farms that want to supply to Woolies, farms that want to supply to Shoprite Checkers, and farms that want to export. Now within those things, there's certain things that they need to comply to. So the guy's got a septic tank at the moment and it's not costing him anything, and he'd rather spend $1 million on a new cruiser than on a sewage treatment. But now, for his Global Gap score, he's got to take out that septic tank. And you've got a solution for him to do that and fund it through his operation. The same comes with ESG. They all need to comply with ESG. Now some people say, no, but in Global Gap it doesn't force him to take out the septic tank. But ESG, they look at his water consumption, they look at improvements, and they're looking at the backyard. So what they don't do in Global Gap, they catch him on the ESG side. So there's a lot of opportunity there. And then obviously the carbon credits that we spoke about. And Ingelinda had a chat to that chap. He said, listen, but carbon credits for farmers doesn't really matter because they're exempted. She said to me, yeah, they're exempted on the carbon credit side, but not on the ESG side. Oh, that's new to me. And that's how it all comes together at the end of the day.
They can sell the carbon credits. Because there's people who are looking, other companies looking to buy those carbon credits.
So if you tell that guy, if he can sell his carbon credits and make 50,000, 100,000, R1 million a year, whatever the case may be, why not? It puts us in a different bracket. Remember what we spoke about this morning? It puts us in a different bracket to anybody else out there. And that's where we want to be. So the blue bank is going green now. What are you going to say? Think green or blue?
So just
Go green, think blue.
a question within Standard Bank side, like, are you guys marketing or promoting people that are part of the program, or how does that side of it work?
So
is it just asset finance for you and that's
So it's asset finance, but what we do is we go through to our relationship managers, our bankers who bank the clients, and we create what we call customer value proposition, CVPs.
Okay.
And tell them, look, when you've got clients that are high water users, offer these solutions. So obviously he can't talk to the mechanics behind it, but he can say, are you interested? And then we start the conversation,
And then pass the lead on.
So we'll bring the lead through and come to Gerard, and that's what we will do to it.
Honestly, are they doing that? Is it actually happening?
We've just started the conversation.
Okay. But I mean for other people that are part of the program.
No, so like if you look at what we've done for solar, solar is very mature in our space, right?
Yeah.
Because load shedding happened, and I don't want to say we actually are now part of the solution that we don't have load shedding, because we've put out quite a few gigawatts, right?
For sure.
And that's taken the strain off Eskom. They're able to do the maintenance and, but I can't take all the credit. Now, we've seen day zero, right? Unlike electricity, it's off now and it's on in an hour or two. With water, when the water pressure is low, you've got a couple of hours, if not days, before it comes right? Businesses can't survive like that. I mean, I've got clients who've got huge cutting saws for granite. And if they don't have water to cool those saws down, you might as well just close up shop for the next couple of years.
But that's also going to be recycled water.
That's it. This is where these solutions come in, right? Because also it takes pressure off municipal infrastructure. So then they can now spend some time on maintenance and repairs. You saw them. It's 7 trillion by 2050.
It takes pressure off the municipal infrastructure, but there's something else. When those businesses start taking less water from council, there's immediately more water left in the network for people who can't afford alternatives. So you directly speak to the poor communities without the corporate spending money on the poor community. Is directly speaking to the employees of that company, because the employees go home and they don't have water. Now the company doesn't use the water and is well, can't give you the name, but I've done an exercise with a corporate up in Sandton. They use 200,000 litres a day just to flush toilets.
Wow.
I know of another corporate in a similar area that use, I haven't seen water meter figures, but based on the other one and the number of staff, there's another one also with a number of staff, using about 300,000 litres per day just to flush toilets. That's 500,000 litres between two companies per day. That's literally going down the drain. Now, if we can recover 50% of that, it's 250,000 per day. If we look at extravagant 200 litres per person, how many people do you affect?
It's a water for 1,000 odd people, yeah.
Exactly. You see the way this is going? Because it immediately speaks to your ESGs. You're speaking
No,
to banks,
very
ESGs as
something,
well, financing.
What are you doing in Africa? And the reason I ask this is we do capital projects, but we also help the little ASM, like the little miner. And Uganda, mining is becoming a big thing. They're going from water. The government has now said we want money. And I think over the last month I must have had 50 companies phoning me to say, oh, we're looking for pilot plants, we're looking for water plants, we're looking for everything to try and get their little pilot plant, similar to the Zamazamas we have here. The first conversation I had was, can you afford what we can do for you, and can you afford the equipment we're supplying to you? Have you got the finance? And all these guys are saying, no, it's out of my back pocket at the moment until they start to produce gold, or whatever they can do. What are you doing in Africa? And do you support that little guy? Because my capital projects are all funded by Eurobank, World Bank. For example, we did a quote this week, and I can guarantee you, their quote to me said, you'll pay me, Marion, before I supply you that material. My quote to my client was, you'll pay me before we get any material going. It's back to back. But I've also got the conversations going with the smaller corporates, with the hotel business and all of that, saying, yes, we want to buy your process equipment, but we can't afford it.
So,
what is Standard Bank doing?
Yes.
Now, I happen to know, the reason I'm asking why Standard Bank is because we've got a financial company that we deal with, that the guy actually works for the African Union. He knows how to build all the banking things. He's gone around to all the major banks in South Africa. And one of the key things is if we use suppliers in South Africa, that Standard Bank will come on board, and all the other banks will come on board, because we're growing the South African economy. So, hence, you can do it for the small little housing. What if we've got a hotel in Uganda that doesn't have money to put this in? Will Standard Bank support them if they don't have finance? Because I'm not going to do that deal with them. They can't pay me.
sure.
Darren's not going to do that deal with them if they can't pay her.
No, so
It's a
you know,
back-to-back solution
100%.
problem.
So Standard Bank has got the largest footprint from any commercial bank in Africa. All right, we are represented in many countries, known as Stanbic.
Yeah.
Right. What we offer here, we leverage to our colleagues across into Africa, and likewise, if they've got best practice, they leverage it, and we then adopt. Right. So similar systems and similar setup, they would offer. The interest rates will obviously be different because you're going to be governed by the country's interest rates. The product offering would be similar. they would also then assess based on affordability. So they would then, because we as a South African bank can't go and fund in our space into Uganda, we can't affect security, jurisdictions, a whole host of, we've got a presence in Uganda.
I mean, Karen and I don't want to use the deal. We
So-
want the deal.
So in
But we want to
essence,
be able to support that little guy.
Sure, so what they will
So
do is
yes,
they will
we
fund
do
them.
capital projects,
They will
and we've
fund it,
already
and
got
then-
funding, but we also help the smaller guy.
Sure.
so what we do is, once you've got that customer interested,
Mm.
you bring it out to Standard Bank South Africa,
Yep.
who will do the intro to Stanbic in Uganda.
Mm.
And they will then deal with the guy there, they will do the funding there, you know that the bank secures your money, not that guy.
Exactly, so that's my question.
Yeah,
I mean, we don't touch anything when there's no funding.
no.
Because
In that case,
at the
it's
end of the
safe
day-
because
But
you-
we are still also trying to support, I mean, if I look at just Uganda alone, Uganda's moving away from water, they've opened up mining again, there's massive outlaws, and all these little guys have come to me. And the first thing I say to them, have you done your feasibility, have you done your environmental, and have you got money? Before you even get your license. You've got to have that anyway to get a mining license.
Yeah, so the
And
main thing is
we want our money.
your money is guaranteed by the bank,
Mm.
and the risk is on the bank, not on you.
And at the end of the day, what we even do, I mean, we've got our whole finance model anyway, through our European counterparts in South Africa, we do try and support these guys because it's for them, it's business for us, it's business for
It's
them.
job creation,
Job here, you know what I'm saying? We don't just go for the capital project.
enterprise development.
Mm. And it's not only in Africa.
No.
Even here,
Yeah.
I've had a similar experience.
Mm.
Well, an inquiry. This was, I think, 2 years ago, from one of the mining houses. Similar. They're not interested in owning the system.
They want to rent it.
Yeah, they want the tariff model. You know.
Well, you can go back to them and offer it now. That's the next thing.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, he wants his money, I want mine. We don't do business if there's no money.
Sure.
Yeah.
But
Neither do they.
so Kevin, he's told you. Get that lead, pass it through to us, we'll pass it back to our counterparts and then make, that's what I said. If you've got utility scale projects, we've got close relationships with our CIB arm. If you've got into Africa, the trans-regional transactions, bring it through to us with a great relationship.
You know, the way I see it, if that guy goes to Stanbic in Uganda, they don't know who they're dealing with, they don't know what's upstream from there, so it becomes difficult. If you've got the customer, you bring it now to Standard Bank, yeah. Standard Bank knows Muscom, we are approved on the system, they know that the materials will be supplied, so that side is already secured. They can now contact Uganda and say, listen, we have a vetted vendor here, or whatever you call it. We have a vetted supplier here, who wants to sell this to that guy in Uganda. Can you please make contact with him and see if you can finance it? Now Stanbic Uganda knows that this side is secure, they don't have to worry about paying money and the product's not leaving or anything like that. They know that Standard Bank South Africa is happy with what's happening on this side. They just need to check if that guy is financeable, and if he is, then the deal will continue.
100%.
So at the end of the day, it's a win-win for us.
It's
You
a
know what I'm saying?
win-win, it's a
I
win-win
don't
for
want
us.
to turn the customer, for example, we made an offer to and going, I happen to know that you have the money, but that was a perfect situation. I mean, he made an offer to me, before I even sent him my stuff, oh, you will pay me for it. We made the offer to them, and we went in on milestone payment terms with this guy. You know what I'm saying? Because we're covering it from a financial
Yeah.
perspective. So we've already covered it. I already know that guy's got the money. I know 50% up front he'll pay me, and 50% when the material comes down. We're paying him up front, we've got the finance to back it. But there's a lot of guys that we can't take on and say, we can
Yeah.
give you the finance for this, because hey, there's so many of them, and they all need. I mean, if I look at the mining, they want to pilot process plants now, because there's stockpiles of gold mines in Uganda. But they want to pay me gold, and I'm saying, guys, no. And these poor guys, I mean, at least they're trying to get licenses. They're not like the Zamazamas here in Durban, just digging out anywhere. But it's the same as if you go into the water industry. We've got clients that we know they've got the funding. But a lot of them come to me and say, we don't have the funding. We have those conversations. These big clients we're taking on now, again, they don't have the funding. We're bringing funding to the table for the African Union. We're all connected to all the World Banks, U-Banks, because that's who we do our business with. And we make sure we get paid. But there's a lot of little guys. And it's the little guys, they all want what you've got. A school, a hospital, a clinic,
Lodges.
a game
So,
farm.
yeah, so
a lodge.
this is scalable, right?
Yeah.
So
A
what we're
building.
doing here
I mean, we
is
did a building one this week, that's 25 to 35 people, they're having that building, you know what I'm saying? They might come back and say to me, so my local content got the inquiry, they sent it to us. They got the inquiry for a different type of system. So we went back and said, no, we've got Muscombe system. This is what we can give to you, it's better than crap that they sent through to BNN, you know what I'm saying?
So the lucky thing is you can offer that with a finance option.
We've done that.
And if
No, we haven't done it with the finance option, we've done it with a milestone payment option, but we know that they've got, and we've actually so we're selling it to my local content owner, it can be owned, and we've already said to him we're backing financially. Okay, so that's what the PM does. And he's selling it to his client, but he's got to get his money out of that guy. And if that guy doesn't have the money, this is where the conversations need to have.
that's where the bank will
You
come.
know what I'm saying? So
But do the intro from this side.
yeah. So that's what we've done with this.
Because then it's traceable
We've
for
said to
everyone.
him, we will financially support the local content guy, but he's also got to make sure he gets his money out. And that's where the next conversation comes in. So we're already paying him if we get the order. So he's not worried, he gets his money. My local content guy, we have to over an 8-month period finance it for him, you know what I'm saying? But he needs to be able to get it over the guy.
Yeah, so give
And
it,
if you can't,
give it to the bank.
yeah,
Give it to the
so
bank.
that's what I'm saying, that's where we
It's
have
very
this
simple.
conversation.
Our business is water solutions.
Yeah.
Their business is financing. I'm not going to get involved in that field.
Mm.
They're not going to start building fusions.
No.
But together we can make a difference. So if the guy's interested, you pass it to the local banker, wherever that may be in his area, and your local banker will contact that side, and they will finance it from that side back. And then you know it's safe.
So they'll assess it for finance.
Now, but ultimately, Africa's a lot
Legally
poorer
correct.
than South Africa. Just so let's put it this way, Africa, you'll never get
Avoidance of
what you want to finance.
Okay, yeah. No, but again, if it's a Muscombe system, if it's going to, trans-region, going to Africa regions, like you said, send the lead through, we'll have a chat with our counterparts, and we'll try and smooth the way, so we know we can speak with confidence on the supply.
Because that is the biggest question mark. That's
So-
one of the first things I always say to them. Can you afford us? Can
So
you pay
the
for
main
it?
thing is don't offer him the financing on a green tank system because they're not going to fund it. Finance. I will recover a couple of green tanks that will switch with all building.
It's all about fusion.
Okay. Any more questions or comments? Peter, jy kan klaar iemand daarmee toe jy kan teruggaan. Nora, you've got somebody that you can go back to. Or is it too late?
Maybe.
Try and see.
Our friends.
Which ones? I've got many friends. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Wat gebeur as die kliënt nie betaal nie?
See your problem. Yeah, I'm serious.
Ja.
Do you understand that? The main thing is once the bank decide to finance, the risk of that change to the bank. Because the bank will give you your money.
En as jy nog sê jy wil income service en
Yeah, remember what I said is, jou, as hy oor 5 jaar gefinancier is, jou kwotasie moet reeds 5 jaar se dienste insluit. Dit moet reeds insluit jou UBI vervang elke jaar. Dit moet insluit jou diafragma replacement na 4 jaar. Daai goed is als klaar ingesluit. So daai 5 jaar wat hy gefinansier word, sy geld kry jy van die bank af. So dit is betaal. As hy na die 5 jaar vir jou nie wil betaal nie, dis soos 'n ou wat 'n kar het. As jy nou 'n nuwe bakkie koop, dan gaan Nissan, Toyota, Ford, wie ook al, sê vir jy die 90.000 kilometer service plan. So tot by 90.000 kilometer vat jy maar hulle service om het kos jou niks. Na 90.000 kilometer, as jy nou nie meer wil Ford toe vat nie, dan dis jou saak. As jy dan breek, is dit ook jou saak. Dis dieselfde met die Fusions. Jy sluit jou 5 jaar dienste in, jy is nou Ford, of Nissan of wie ook. So jy sluit in jou koopprys die eerste 5 jaar se dienste in. Daai geld is safe, daai geld gee die bank vir jou. As hy na 5 jaar verkieslik aanhou om jou te betaal, gaan jy aanhou om te service. As hy jou nie verder wil betaal nie, jy gaan niks verloor nie. En vir daai 5 jaar moet ons waarborg dat die stelsel meganies reg is.
We speak about product warranties, because if it fails, we need to know that that thing will run. So if it fails, must come, the supplier needs to come in to make sure that that still continues to give the client the service that he pretty much signed up for, right, for our finance period. So if you can only offer service for 2 years, we'll finance for 2 years.
Yeah.
Because then we know we're only going to be guaranteed, repayment. So if you can offer a 5-year like service plan for it, it's baked into it, it's in the contract, and the client signs for it.
So that's what we do, is we offer it with a 5-year plan.
Maar jy het already nog risk.
You've got no risk.
En as jy besluit jy wil dit, jy is nou 'n water supplier, jy besluit jy finansier die plant en jy charge hulle en dan betaal hulle jou nie.
Okay, talking about water as a service.
Ja.
Okay, water as a service, it's your plant and you take the plant out. Because the plant remains yours on water as a service. So there's the outright purchase where they pay, the bank finance them, and you don't have to worry, your money is covered for that 5 years. Water is a service where they pay you and you pay the bank. If for whatever reason, remember you've got a contract with them, so if they stop paying you, firstly they're in breach of contract. Secondly, it's your equipment, it's not theirs. So your contract is going to be very well drafted there, and I think the bank will get involved with those things to make sure that all those things are in place. From a legal point of view, because legally we're much stronger than what we are. To say if you don't pay, the equipment is yours, it's not theirs. You go and cut off the pipes and you take it away. What we will need to write into the contract is that the guy will not refuse access to site to remove it.
Yeah, so that will be a commercial agreement between you and the off-taker. Ideally, lawyers, you have 2 lawyers in the room, you'll never agree, right? Apologies. But that's where you need to go make sure that those contracts with the off-taker are strong. We as a bank will then vet it, because we obviously can't pronounce on commercial contracts between you and the off-taker. But we'd have a look to see that it's sufficient for the bank to give us comfort that.
And if it's not sufficient, what I'll appreciate, if it's not sufficient for the bank, you come back and say, listen, we need this added in order to.
Sure. Sorry, I just, the water as a service one, I think we need to get some legal advice on that one. I don't see you having a problem if it's installed at a commercial or industrial property. I don't see you having a problem going and removing it. But if you've installed this at a body corporate where people live, or a homeowners association, I am almost 100% guaranteeing you ain't going to go and take that thing out. There's no way. So I suggest that before we say these kind of things, that we get a legal opinion from somebody that's in the know. Just from past experience with other products, when it's fitted and it's installed, and it's particularly somebody's residence, you've got a problem. If it's a factory and you're going to go and take out your thing, I think you'll be fine. But I don't think you'll be fine at a body.
So a suggestion, if for the time being of the rental payoff on the system, can't we do like a mobile installation that's above ground? If there's a problem with finance paying it, it's easier to take the plant away.
Okay, we must be very careful to overcomplicate things here. But this is the first time for everybody, so this discussion obviously is going to get more focused. But again, we've got to look at 2 sides. And for the body corporates, offer them outright purchase because they're going to have savings on the other side.
100%.
They finance it on this side. If you do a temporary installation, it's not about temporary or not temporary installation. The fact is, can you cut off the pipes and take it out, yes or no? That's how simple it is. Whether you dig it out or take it off the top of the slab, it doesn't really matter. If it is this one, you've got nothing to worry about. Because the bank backs this, and the bank will do whatever is needed to squeeze them. And if it needs to be recovered, the bank will give you instruction to go and recover it. That's not, you don't worry about that side. The bank will-
We don't squeeze.
If it is water as a service, then you start worrying about them paying you. If this is a risk you don't want to take on, it's your choice. You don't have to take it on. You can tell the guy this is done help.
Yeah.
But if it's somebody that you're comfortable with and you've been dealing with them for some time and you know they're paying their bills, there's no problem. Then you can offer that to them. But you're not forced into that. For me, I'd like for the guy to pay. But now you need to understand, there's risk and there's opportunity here. On this one, the bank will give you your money for the loan period, let's call it 5 years, to service the unit. They'll give you money for the supply and install. After 5 years, this thing is paid for, and 100% of the profits or the savings then go to the customer. Okay. He may or may not continue to use your service. On this model, that thing is yours. And it doesn't matter to him how long you take to pay it off. So water as a service, even though after 5 years you've paid the bank, you continue to deliver water as a service to that customer, and he's going to continue paying you. You now have him locked in. But once you finish paying the bank, you're going to make a lot of money. Because there's no installment that you've got to pay. So there's some risk he may not pay you, yes. But there's also the opportunity side where beyond the installment, he's forced to keep on using you and paying you. Because the equipment remains yours for the next 100 years. It never changes hands to him. So you're sure of on continuous business there.
Peredia, can I just come in and sorry to spoil the party on that one, specifically the water as a service solution. I just want to confirm there, if you do the deal, you are the primary responsible party
To the bank, yeah.
to the bank.
Yeah.
So if they don't pay, we'll come to the primary responsible party. And I just, sorry for spoiling the party, I just want to
exactly.
put the fact out there there's a little bit of risk in that potentially, but we try to mitigate it with you in checking your off-taker as well. But I mean, we can't guarantee, but that's why that clause is there, point number 3, that we do assessment of the off-taker as well, to the best of our ability, so that those instances, it doesn't happen down the line. I just want to confirm that as the primary party engaging with the bank to provide the service, if there's a non-payment, the bank will say, but you are the principal party to the contract.
So, again, if you look at the two options, this one, the bank funds them and give you your money and you're done. You service it for 5 years. The entire risk of collecting the money is sitting with the bank, not with you. For this one, the risk of collecting the money from the customer sits with you. But the equipment remains yours. So you can remove it if he doesn't pay you. But it's yours. It's like taking the vehicle. But in this one, after 5 years, if the loan term is 5 years, after 5 years, the bank will not pay you for the services anymore. You now need to collect the money from the customer for the services. And if he doesn't want to use you, tough shit. On this one, after 5 years, you finish paying off the bank. The guy's been in good standing with you. He's been paying you the entire 5 years. But now beyond the 5 years, he will need to continue paying you for that service because the equipment is still yours. The equipment is not his. If after 5 years he stops paying you, then you remove your equipment and you install it with somebody else.
As a new system.
Clients that have got money.
The main one that I actually do want to cover, what I think the idea behind the contract based behind the what is a service is actually more that you as a supplier mustn't be the main person to do the finance. It's for a client that wants to do renting, that wants to offer the service to his, if it's a landlord per se and he has a complex and he wants to have that service, we will finance the landlord, he reaps the money from his renters then. That's the target audience.
Yeah, for instance, I want to offer water as a service to an individual household. It doesn't make sense. But what you do get, and I'm going to use this example, a friend of mine is an MD of a company here in South Africa, their office is in the US. They're a multi-million-dollar business. I mean, they're running big numbers. I think that company's turnover is more than our government's budget. But his company vehicle is a leased vehicle. They don't want it on their balance sheet. So you're dealing with somebody who's got the money, who's got to pay the money, they've got the record for it, but they don't want it on their balance sheet. Does that make sense? That's the guy that you offer that service to. You're not going to offer it to somebody he doesn't have the money and you're not sure if you're going to get your money. Don't do business with him, walk away. But you get guys that are financially strong that will honor their commitments. But if you look at the corporate world, you've got two kinds of money flowing in the corporate world. And maybe we should spend a little bit of time on that just quickly. You've got capital expenditure and you've got operational expenditure. And those are different. And I've done those budgets. These guys as well. So now this guy has an operational budget to pay to council 50,000 rand a month for water and sewage. He now has a problem with water interruptions and is looking for a solution. But for him to get that 3 million to buy the system, he can't. Because his internal financial structures doesn't allow him to just go and pull 3 million out of the bank account. He's got to go through 100 loops and budgets and things and get approvals from 1 million people to get a capital expenditure approved. And that makes it extremely difficult for him. And now the company turns around like this guy with his company vehicle. And the company policy is that we will not own those vehicles, we will rent them. Now you're stuck. You can't sell your thing to him because they cannot buy it and put it on their asset register. But they have the operational money that they're spending to the municipality on a monthly basis. And he has that already in his budget and he has that already approved. So all that will happen now, you tell him, okay, I will render the service for you at a cost of 50,000 rand a month. You call the figure, whatever, depending on the size of 500,000 rand a month or whatever the case may be. So from an OPEX point of view, if we look at that spreadsheet quickly, so I'm taking over your show now. From an OPEX point of view, you're telling the guy, this is a shopping center, this is a well-established commercial customer, so it's not some other risky whoever. It's not a guy who cannot afford it, but they cannot go and pull 3 million out of the bank account because there's no capex, the financial model doesn't allow for it. But they already pay 1.1 million to the municipality every month. So all they need to do is they're going to have that saving in his operational budget of paying the municipality. But he's got to spend that money with you to get that saving. That guy is going to love you because you're just giving him a 350,000 rand saving on his operational budget. And it'll make him look good. The financial guys will love him, his boss will love him because he's coming in under budget on his water bill. But he's got this budget for the next 100 years because they need to buy water with increasing tariffs for the next 100 years. Instead of paying the municipality, he's going to pay you and he's going to have a net saving that will make him look good within the company. That's the guy you want to offer this to. Not the shaky guy that you're not sure if you're going to get your money. None of us want to do business with shaky guys. But you know this is established shopping centre. They need to have that, or if you remove your system, then they've got to close down. So you've got them by the balls. That's the guy you want to offer this to.
Sorry, and in addition to what you're saying, you can pitch it to them that their operational cost is going to stay the same for the predictable future, which helps their budget as well.
Yeah, you can, because what you can now do is you say, listen, you know, after 5 years, you're going to pay this off. Besides the immediate saving there, you can say, listen, I'm going to charge you a 5% annual increase. You know that your water bill is going to up 10%, 14%, 20%. If you come to real cost, it's even more. They don't know what's going to happen with the water bill in future. You can give them a predictable future cost on this. That's the guys that you're going to pitch this more to corporates than to shaky individuals. You don't want to pitch that to shaky individuals. But your corporates, Mr. Burgess, you're dealing with a lot of corporates. How many of them need a water solution but getting the capex is a problem?
Couple.
That's where this comes in. You can now tell them, okay, remember Tshwane will be different, this is Joburg. And even within Joburg, schools will differ from this because institutions are charged a different tariff than commercial and industrial. This is commercial tariff for City of Joburg. So you can now go to them and say, listen, you don't have to go to the capex route. Because even if they can get a capex, it might take 2 years because they've got a budget for it, it's got to go through budget approvals, and those approval guys, they're not going to do everything. They need to wait for this budget done. But now, you can tell him, immediately, give me the order now, I can have this up and running in the next month for you and I can secure your water. He doesn't have to go through budget applications. He doesn't have to go through capex applications. He doesn't have to go through any loops in the company. It's just the money that he's paying to Joburg, he's now shifting to you if you've got some spare. That's the guy you want to offer this to, not to the shaky guys. It's their financial model in the business doesn't allow them to buy this and keep it. Like they're renting. How many companies do you know that has Avis rental fleets?
No, it's a bar.
This is exactly the guys you want to talk to. Because you're going to be Avis for them in the water sector. They don't buy the vehicles, they rent them from Avis.
Is it makliker om 'n voertuig terug te vat as om te betaal?
Yeah, I don't know why we're spending so much time on this option, because this is not the option that we're going to be selling. I get that it needs some explanation, but I mean, 90% of the clients that we're going to, this is not the option we're going to go.
You will be amazed.
Yeah. Maybe if I can just go through this thing one more time, right?
So, just one more before you get going. I'm just looking at your breakdown here. You've got water inflow, sewage outflow with a total amount. Then you've got the fusion running costs with a net saving. But you still have municipal water inflow even though you have the fusion, so you're still going to have a cost.
You know, what you need to understand, this thing is, this center will take in 200,000 litres a day or whatever the case may be. We are recovering 28 kilolitres and putting it back to toilets.
Okay, so
the 28 kilolitres that you're putting back to toilets, that 28 you're not getting in from the municipality anymore.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, so this is what it's going to arbitrage against, right? So they might, like you said, 200,000. That we're not solving for. Whatever we solve for, there's the benefit. So the more we solve for, is the bigger the benefit.
So how does one, you're still getting municipal inflow coming through, which they're charging you sewage discharge on?
Yeah.
In Javic's case, they have metered sewage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay, but,
so they've got a metered charge.
but like in Cape Town, 90% of your income is charged as sewage.
Yeah.
So if you reduce your income, you reduce your sewage charge. So the saving is there. That's the easy part. Now, Brendan, you'll be amazed who you'll offer this to, and you offer to the big guys. Because they're not allowed to have that thing on their balance sheet.
Just the implication for on balance sheet and water as a service, right? So if you're selling it to the company and they take it on balance sheet, they would pick up the loan repayment to Standard Bank, because we'll fund it.
Yeah.
And then they'll pick up the Muscat Fusion annual running costs, right? That'll come through to yourselves, right? So those are the two lines that they'll pick up. They'll still end up at about a 370,000 in year one saving compared to what the municipal charges would be. If they decide to go for water as a service, all right, then we would fund you, right? This becomes your cost. This becomes your revenue, but you'll also on-charge this for your water as a service, right? At the end of the 5 years, because the client will still be saving 350,000 in year one, and the savings continues to increase, right? In year 6, this cost falls away for you.
But you keep making money.
But you've already charged it, and you're going to go with an escalation of this plus this, and whatever that number is, into year 6, you're going to give him a 5% increase.
That's your pension.
Opportunity to
Make money then, yeah.
make a bit of money.
Yeah.
Because it will be still way cheaper than what he's paying to the municipality.
If you get that right with the right contract, the right client, you can retire relatively quickly if you can.
5 years.
But that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's the opportunity.
So the client is saving money. Right?
So with big risk comes big reward.
Yeah. But you manage the risk. You're not going to do it for somebody who you think, if you doubt whether it's going to pay you, don't do it. But if it's like Sandton City, you know those guys are going to pay you.
Yeah.
So you take this to Sandton City, and you sell it to them. You're not going to take it to a private school that's not making it sort of, the teachers are not sure if they get the monthly salary on time. You're not going to take it to them. The bank is not going to finance that for them.
Remember, we look through to the off-taker. We can't guarantee, we don't have a crystal ball, but we do an assessment of the off-taker, right? And if we're not comfortable, we're going to tell you, you need to up your equity. So 30%, put 70%. Then you know maybe it's something you shouldn't do.
So if the bank is not comfortable, you walk away. It's not a guarantee, but it's a good indicator.
Is that why my repayment's always so high? 'Cause I'm like,
I noticed you didn't say Standard Bank.
yeah, I was there. We'll have a conversation.
But this is what it is. There's huge opportunity for you in that one. And if it's like, as I say, a Sandton City, as an example. If you were to take this to Discovery, you know Discovery is going to That's the guys that you pitch it.
Established corporates.
Established corporates. You're not going to take that to
All
the
their
city.
buildings.
All your buildings.
But Discovery may not want this on the asset base.
Yes, imagine going to the stadiums.
That's insane, all the
What are
hotels
the
is 90.
stadiums? They need water to irrigate all their fields.
But it's another issue.
Just don't take it to EB Kings because they're bankrupt. They don't exist.
I was about to say, let's stay bankrupt. Bad idea.
Netcare, all of them. Lots of hospitals.
So the opportunity with the water as a service is for your established guys, but they can't, the financial system doesn't allow them to purchase that. I mean, you get companies, huge corporates that don't own their buildings. They rent it from property owners. If you go to ShopRite Checkers, they don't, most of their buildings they don't own. They're rented from the shopping centre. Those are the guys, because they used to paying rent, they used to having that monthly installment. And you know they'll pay you. That's the guys you take it to, and that's your pension.
And they currently have the costs on their income statement.
They have that
You're
cost.
now just turning it into a double cost, and you've got the certainty of water being provided.
Yeah, that's why I say the nice thing with that is if you haven't worked corporate, then I'm not the guy to explain it to you. But if you, in a corporate, as I said, you've got two budgets. You've got the operational budget, which is your income stuff. You've got the capex budget, that's in your balance sheet. The guy already has the money approved to spend with the municipality every month. So next month he can switch to you without asking anybody. But if that guy needs to go to buying this, he's got to motivate that to his boss. His boss has got to take it into budget meeting, which may only be next year. The budget meeting may or may not approve it. If they approve it, it's not the new financial year yet, so you're looking at 2 years down the line before something happens. If it happens, because you've got a lot of pen pushers that's got to prove that through the line. While if you go to offer as a service, and you know it's a secure guy in sort of Chanton City or wherever the case may be, I just hope they don't go bankrupt soon. Then you take it to them, they can change next month, you can start collecting your money, they can get the benefit from the water, and after 5 years you start making good money. Because you're not going to drop your prices when the system is broken. That's where you pitch. Like I said. Don't take it to your shakes. We don't want to deal with it.
Well, ek sal net boor van ons sit, my opinie. So as jy maar 5 jaar wil skryf, na 'n kliënt toe, dan tel jy hom beskryf word. Want jy fix nie vir my nuwe ding hier.
Ja, maar dis operational man, ons praat nou finansies. Sit op waar jy wil, dis maar nie
Zo biele op ja, kom net.
jy kan maar lugballon ook aan het.
Dankie so is by jou.
Dit gaan minder risiko vir die bank wees as jy hulle kan sê jy as installer maak dit moontlik om daai produkte kan verwyder as 'n kliënt.
Ja, maar daar hanteer jy op case-to-case basis. Dis nie gesprek van nou nie. Sekere gevalle gaan jy nie kan go vir ons doen as spasie. So dis 'n case-to-case basis waar jy moet. That's not the general day. Die bottom line is ons kan dit nou offer. Jy kan nou na daai skool toe gaan en hulle sê luister. Jy weet hulle is, jy weet hulle betaal hulle rekening. Jy kan hulle gaan en hulle sê luister, ek kan nie doen vir jou gee op 'n rentbasis. Like in the case of the school, they don't recover the water, it goes to the sewage. So besides the financial saving that side, because what you're getting there is a litre in, is a litre out. So they're paying municipal and they're paying sewage. But then they're paying somewhere else to irrigate these sports fields. Now you say, whatever I've got here, I recover. So I save on this, I save on my sports field. We've got a school now that I quoted last week. They have a municipal sewer connection, but the municipal sewer keep on blocking. And it pushes back and the toilets overflow in the school, and it's a middle-class private school. Now everybody, all the parents are obviously. The engineer says to them the solution is very simple. Install fusion is going to cost you 5 million. The financial guy said, "Are you out of your mind? I'm not going to spend 5 million." I said, "Okay. The toilets are overflowing, the kids don't want to be there. Get the guys to open up the pipe." I've been in contact with them within 2 weeks. They haven't responded. It's a municipal pipe, we can't do it. Okay, so what's the alternative? Fusion. Out of the pipe, install a fusion, and forget about it. But that's a conversation that's going on now. They haven't given the approval yet. But the financial guy blew his gasket when he heard he had to spend, I can't remember the figure, But we need, earlier, you had to spend a couple of million on sewage water, it's got a municipal connection.
So that will work perfectly here because if we finance a school, right, and you supply the fusion system, you get paid, right?
Yeah.
His cost will straight off reduce on that quantum that you're going to replace. And if he decides he wants water as a service as an option, then we finance you put it in, and you charge him the
Well, he needs to work with the municipality.
Exactly, but in fact, you charging, with this case, you're giving him a discount, and 1.3 million, he's only going to be paying 970,000 or something. We look at, 780 plus 930,000 versus 1.3 million.
And in fact, he's going to pay a little bit more. You're making the saving too much because we're taking on more risk. You'll know the price of it. But that's the risk reward thing. You're going to give him a 10% saving and the extra 10% you're going to take because that's your reward for taking the risk.
Yeah, you can do that.
Because this is an on-balance sheet, so if they had to buy it, that's the savings would be fully theirs.
Yeah, exactly.
But to your point,
If you are taking the risk, as you said,
because you're going to adjust for the risk.
You're going to adjust for the risk, you're going to
sometimes
take a little
default,
more.
administration, and all those good things.
Collecting the money on a monthly basis.
Yeah, and but he's still going to love you because he makes a 10% saving.
And year on year. Doesn't get the installations, doesn't get the installations as low, so he's still got some significant savings.
After 7 years, 10 years, it's going to be massive, right? Because 10% versus a 5% or a 6% growth.
Exactly.
Compounding is going to work in your favor.
Yeah. Martin, Laura, you happy? No.
No, I am.
No, I see you moving like that.
I'm happy.
All the way from Joburg because of this
You know.
opportunity. I think it's a phenomenal opportunity. So, yeah, if there's any questions.
Both came all the way from Joburg.
Oh.
Yeah,
She's in your valley.
unfortunately.
But there's a little bit better there than here right now.
Brendan, begin met jou vorm. Waar jy
No, it's clear in my mind. It's very clear in my mind. It is horses for courses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're not going to preach that to your body corporate, that water is a service.
Yeah.
So you preach in the outright purchase, they carry the risk, or the bank carries the risk, and Barry gets his money. And buy your bottle of Jägermeister for giving him the business. Give him a bottle of tequila, see that.
I see the DFIs are also catching on. The DVSA, they also had they went out on, I think it was a tender, recently for setting up, the sanitation fund. So it's coming.
7 billion
Mm.
capex till 2050. Everybody's got a chance to play in this.
Mm.
And this solution is, I can't, but is it second to none or is it? Because, like you were saying, you don't want any little skid-on. You want a must-have system, right?
It's these, how many players in the market now? 20, 30?
You mean the assistance?
Yeah, in the West, in the West market.
They can give your system.
Yeah, well, I
So it can give some sort of weight.
Some sort of system.
So let's say there's 30 players in the market. And I got it on my laptop, I can show you the difference. We'll cover some of that tomorrow. Are you staying over? Give him some wine, we need some stove. But a lot of the other guys, if you look at the treatment process, we've got a six-step process. The other guys have got 1 or 2 stages. We've got guys with green tanks above the ground with a zillion pipes and a couple of swimming pool pumps and they think they've got a treatment. But they play in the same market.
Mm.
We've got a, I almost want to say the Rolls Royce kind of thing.
But Gerard, shouldn't Nora be placed well to maybe give us insight into that question? Like, I mean, how many are really meaningful?
Really meaningful? Yeah, about the ones that I'm aware of. That's about seven systems so far.
That are players.
Yeah, and there's different technologies. You have, your tripling filter, even containerized.
Yeah, MPRs.
You have nature-based systems. You have like a fusion type of systems. So with those technologies, I mean, like how do you then do your due diligence with the suppliers?
Currently, we're the first guys up there, so keep it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So because the thing is, I mean, once they get a whiff of this relationship, you will be inundated with. It will trigger that. Yeah, that's very interesting,
I know.
Yeah.
But we've got to be out there before that.
Yeah.
If you look at you get like for instance an MBR, it's a membrane bioreactor. It's cheaper than this to buy, but the operational cost is a hell of a lot more. And those things, so it eats into the saving. But the guys sometimes build that into a steel container. Now, I don't like that idea because steel containers and sewage don't go together. They'll tell you that there's a 30 year, the container will last 30 years. I've seen that in a quote. But you read the fine print, every 6 months we've got to go through the container and check the rust spots and sand it down and paint it. Otherwise it doesn't last 30 years. But it's easy to recover if the guy doesn't pay. You cut off the pipe here and there and you take away the container. We can build the fusions in the containers if needed. If there's financing side where you may want to have a more secure way of actually repossessing it. We can build it into a container. That's not, it's going to add to the cost, but it's possible. Die hele systeem met sy pre-screen en alles in 'n container.
Ja, ons sit met die logic gemaak.
Ja,
There's a paper afgestaan.
So there's different ways of doing this, but that's on a case-by-case basis. So yes, there's other technologies out there, and what we're going to see, the same we saw in solar. We had this discussion this morning. With solar, when solar became popular, everybody could fit a plug, became a solar expert. Everybody who can replace a tap washer is going to be a recycle expert soon. If you look at the legislation that says municipalities may not allow new developments if they don't have sewage capacity. 78%, 78%. On green drop that doesn't comply.
It will be interesting to see what it is now, where it is now.
But Rob,
it's
in the 70s somewhere.
That's a medium to high risk.
Medium to high risk in a green drop is 3 out of every 4 plants. So 3 out of every 4 plants in South Africa, wastewater treatment plants, can't take on any new developments. So this is going to be a huge market opening up, and I think this is for your side, your relations managers, particularly South African developers, and to these professionals that specify this for the developers, the engineers and stuff. So this market is going to explode. And you will get everybody jumping on this bandwagon. That's going to happen. But that's why we've got to be out there, and the bank has got to be out there first and get the name in the market.
Yeah.
When the other guys wake up, we must already be some distance away.
Yeah.
That's very well.
Just part of the topic, slightly off topic, but one of my staff members, they're meeting up with you guys, I think, towards the end of the month.
Yeah,
Annalise, Larisse is her name, but the part of that process is getting Mascam as an approved supplier.
Well, that might will
and even that will, that will give you some footprint also within the market. Just, I mean, you can add that as part of your marketing, a Standard Bank approved supplier, with a wastage supplier. So that process we also looking into.
That's quite fast already in.
Okay.
These guys are processing.
I know there's
already.
some documentation she's still looking for, but we check offline.
Yeah, she can just request that and we'll get that going, but that's already going.
That's verified and Standard Bank approved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two big things.
Just imagine doing that. Imagine what it can do for your business. iemand sien en ek sien so dadelik net daar. Are we good on this?
So from a outright purchase perspective, you incorporated 5 years of servicing and everything inside there. What happens if there's any breakdowns?
Warranty. Isn't that part of your service? Warranty?
No, like
I'm in the mining industry. We're quite used to the service level agreement. So what you do is you have a service level agreement, and that specifies X amount of hours per year or per month. You know, one visit, 1 day per month, or whatever your terms may be. One visit per 6 months, whatever you decide as a reasonable terms. And in your T's and C's, you quote on a per hour basis for any additional hours. So they agree to that purchase order when they buy that. So effectively, you already have a purchase order for additional hours, but you have to specify the additional hours that will cost.
Yeah, because I'm thinking down the lines of you go to some place where they've decided to pour 500 litres of drip down the
So
drain.
you have to make provision.
That's not a warranty.
And yeah, but a whole bunch of sand. But now the ag turns around.
Yeah.
That's where the SLA
So
comes into play.
you write it up as a service level agreement.
That is all we already have a draft of that.
And you, of course, you have to make it that provision for any activities outside of the regular service level agreement. And that's at a particular rate per hour and a particular rate per transport or whatever your transport costs, and you list all of those.
I mean, you're desludging, you're allowing what every 2 years or whatever it is.
Yeah, and you can exclude desludging because you might not be able to control it. So if you have an external person that needs to come and desludge, your quote will specify this. Desludging is for that amount, and you include it in your quote, but you say done by others, billed at actual cost.
Do you make provision for the parts, for like your maintenance capex, like your components that needs to be replaced?
The parts, and
what you do
they
is
must pay the parts up front,
you-
and they keep the parts.
You make provision for your service parts.
Yeah.
Let's take it in the case of a vehicle. When you buy your vehicle, you get your 90,000 kilometer service plan. That'll cover your oil filter and your fuel filter and the oil exchange and whatever goes with that. But now, at 45,000 kilometers, you come there with a damaged headlamp. That's not covered. They're going to charge you for replacing that headlamp, the labor as well as the part.
They don't cover tires, they don't cover...
Yeah. So it's going to be the same. You're going to include replacing the diaphragm after 4 years, because that's part of the service. But in year 2, they have a flood. The water is running knee high and the aeration pump is flooded and it's now damaged. That's not a warranty
That's ad hoc.
and it's not part of the service.
Yeah.
So they pay for a new one. So that's all in your
Yeah, you can just say, I mean, we know what the service entails.
Yeah.
The service entails doing A, B, and C, and periodically doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Anything outside of that is not.
Any additional work required.
Yeah.
The best is to get them to pay their parts up front.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the best way, in our opinion, is get them to pay all the parts for that 5 years up front. They can keep control of it, you know, they can take it, or you can control it, that's up to them.
But however, if it's a bank finance, then that's part of your original
Exactly.
quote anyway.
Yeah.
That's part of your initial
So
cost.
they have to buy that, so when you get there, you must just collect the part and fit it.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, if you're supplying to a mine, your agreement is with the mine with everything on there. Your spares has to be included, your commission spares, any spares, installation spares, has to be included on your ECC contract you're putting together.
Yeah.
What the mine does is that list, when I'm negotiating the contract with you, you negotiate that contract including that list. But it doesn't become part of an agreement with you. They know they have to go to Muscat to go and buy all the spares to mine. They get that list, it becomes under their IoT budget, which is the mine's whole budget, but it's part of your full contract. So at the end of the day, you've got your installation costs in there, you've got your supervision costs in, whatever your service level agreement is. At the end of that contract, on that whole budget you're putting together, you put there your spares. And it's not up to, they know the contracts with Muscat. The mine can only go to Muscat to buy that space. So if it's a pump or chlorine or whatever it is that you need, they can only go to them because you're buying the system from them. So it's not part of your contract. It is part of the contract, but it's the mine's responsibility to go and buy it at Muscat. So anything, and so your drawdown, your monthly payment certificates that go through for whatever services you're doing with them, is everything that you paid for on that contract, anything over and above, like spares or anything like that, they have to have that. And
the nice thing is a lot of those fees, they're not going to get anywhere else.
exactly, that's the point. You're selling them a Muscat system. So when I'm negotiating that contract with him, I'm saying to him, here's my budget. In my budget, it's my equipment costs, it's my installation costs, it's my supervision costs, whatever it's going to take to oversight of commissioning, whatever you need to do to go in there. If you're not the installation contractor and somebody else is doing that, you've still got to go in there and do supervision. You tell them you give them 2 days free or 6 days free, whatever the case may be, your accommodation, make sure all your costs are covered. And when you're negotiating and doing commercial and technical adjudication on that contract, you say to them, right, at the end of the day, here's the spares list, I gave it to you, it's what I've tendered. They know they have to go and buy those spares there. It comes out, specifically on a mine, it comes out of what's called an IoT budget, and it's got to be procured by the buyer on the mine. To maintain that
Those things
plant.
are already in place for you, if you other things, so we just
Yes.
take on to that.
Yeah. But it forms part of your contract, but it's not something that they will pay you for. They were going to have to go and buy it straight from her.
Or they can purchase through
Or they
through
can
the
purchase
supplier.
through them.
Yeah. I prefer that they purchase through her.
And at the end of
because-
the day, they ask for that in your contract.
Yeah.
It's got to be part of what you're putting
Yeah.
through to them on a
Yeah. So it's basically only covering the preventative maintenance, not
Yeah.
ad hoc.
Yeah.
Mm.
Anything else? Happiness. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Oh, it's lunchtime.